Nobody decides to disrespect you. That's the part everyone gets wrong. There's no meeting, no moment where someone looks at you and thinks, I'm going to treat this person badly now. What actually happens is quieter and honestly more disturbing. People run experiments on you, small ones, constantly. And your reactions, not your words, your reactions tell them exactly what you'll tolerate. Psychologists call this behavioral testing, and you've been on both sides of it your whole life without noticing. The colleague who makes a joke at your expense in a meeting isn't being cruel yet. He's collecting data. If you laugh along, the data says, this costs nothing. The friend who shows up 40 minutes late isn't disrespecting you yet. She's checking the price. If you say no worries, the price is zero. And here's the mechanism underneath it. Operant conditioning. Behavior that gets rewarded or even just goes unpunished repeats. Behavior that costs something stops. That's not a theory about rats. That's the operating system running every relationship you have. So the first uncomfortable truth is this. The disrespect you're getting right now from anyone, anywhere in your life, is disrespect that has already been tested, priced, and approved. By you, not because you're weak, because nobody ever told you the tests were happening. Watch for the opening moves, the nickname you didn't agree to, the message left unread by someone who posts stories all day, the you don't mind, do you, delivered after the thing's already been done. None of these are attacks, they're probes. And people don't escalate because they're evil. They escalate because the last probe came back marked free, which raises the real question. If disrespect is learned, it can be untaught, but not the way you think, not by confrontation, by something much colder. Before anyone tests you, they read you, and they're faster at it than you'd believe. Research on thin slicing, snap judgments from tiny samples of behavior, shows people form durable impressions of status and confidence within seconds, not from what you say. From delivery, pace, how much space you take up, how quickly you rush to fill silence. Here's what the audit actually looks for. 1. How fast do you agree? The person who says, yeah, totally, before the sentence is even finished, has told the room their opinions are negotiable. 2. How do you handle interruption? Not with anger. Anger is also a fail. The question is whether you simply continue calmly like a lorry that doesn't notice a pothole. 3. What happens to your accent, your posture, your laugh around higher status people? If you shapeshift, everyone clocks it. Shapeshifting is the loudest signal there is, and it says, myself depends on your approval. And this is where the reference point most people carry, just be more confident, falls apart. Confidence isn't a feeling. Nobody can see your feelings. Confidence, as far as the room is concerned, is a set of behaviors: slower speech, fewer qualifiers, comfort with silence, and consistency between what you said Tuesday and what you're doing Friday. Every one of those is learnable, which means status, real status, the kind people don't test, is a skill, not a gift. But there's one behavior that outranks all the others, one thing that, once people see it, rewrites your price completely. And it's the opposite of what your instincts scream at you to do. Every unnecessary explanation is an application for approval. Read that again, because it runs against everything polite society trained into you. When you explain a decision nobody asked you to justify, why you're leaving early, why you can't lend the money, why you didn't come out on Saturday, you are telling the other person, I need your sign-off to feel legitimate. And the moment someone knows you need their sign-off, they own a lever. Watch two people decline the same invitation. The first says, I'm so sorry, it's just been a mad week, my sister's visiting and I've got this thing on Sunday morning, otherwise I definitely would. Or excuses. Any one of them can be argued with, and that's exactly what happens. Come on, just for an hour. The second person says, can't make it this time, have fun, nothing to argue with, nothing to negotiate. The conversation is simply over. The first person handed over 4 handles, the second handed over none. There's a psychological principle here that salespeople and interrogators both know. Whoever talks more, reveals more, and whoever reveals more can be steered. Over-explaining doesn't just fail to protect you, it actively arms people. Your excuses are a map of your pressure points. I can't, I feel guilty, teaches them guilt works on you. I can't, what would people think, teaches them image works on you. You're not defending yourself, you're publishing your instruction manual. So here's the practical rule, and it's brutally simple. Explanations are for people who need information, not for people who want leverage. Your boss needs to know why the report is late. That's information. Your mate demanding to know why you won't drink on a Tuesday wants leverage. Learn to hear the difference and answer accordingly. One sentence. Warm, if you like. Final. Always say less. Fine. But what happens when someone crosses an actual line? Most people think a boundary is a speech. I won't be spoken to like that. It isn't. A boundary is what you do next. And the gap between those two things is precisely where all the disrespect in your life lives. Announced boundaries with no behavior behind them actually make things worse. In behavioral terms, it's intermittent reinforcement. You threaten, they push, you fold, sometimes you don't. That inconsistency doesn't teach people to stop. It teaches them to keep pulling the lever, exactly like a slot machine. The most disrespected people you know aren't the ones with no boundaries. They're the ones with loudly announced, never enforced boundaries. Their words have been marked as decorative. Enforcement doesn't look like drama. That's the second misunderstanding. Enforcement looks like access quietly changing. Someone speaks over you in every meeting. You stop bringing them your ideas first. Someone's banter is always at your expense. You go slightly less available. Replies slower, invitations fewer, warmth turned down 2 degrees. Not announced, just felt. A friend only calls when he needs something. The third time you're busy, kindly, genuinely busy even. You've simply reallocated your time to people who don't bill you for it. This works because of the single most reliable finding about human motivation. Loss aversion. People feel losses roughly twice as strongly as gains. A lecture about respect is a gain they're being offered. Abstract, forgettable. Losing access to you is a loss, concrete, felt daily. Nobody remembers speeches. Everybody notices when the room gets colder. One warning: consequences delivered in anger read as tantrums, and tantrums read as weakness, proof they got to you. Consequences delivered calmly read as policy, and people argue with tantrums, but they adjust to policy. Which is why the next skill isn't optional, because the people who benefit from your old price will try to provoke the old you back. When someone needles you, the pointed comment at dinner, the criticism dressed as concern, the public little dig, understand what's actually happening. They're not expressing an opinion, they're running a diagnostic. Every provocation is a request for information. Where are the buttons and do they still work? React and you've answered. Anger tells them insecurity lives there. Defensiveness tells them you fear being seen a certain way. Even over-eager delight at a compliment tells them approval is a currency you'll work for. Emotional reactions are data leaks. The person who can trigger you owns a remote control with your name on it, and they will press those buttons whenever your composure is inconvenient to them. Now, the standard advice here is stay calm, which is useless because nobody chooses to lose their temper. So here's what actually works, mechanically. First, the pause. Not a dramatic pause, 2 seconds. The neuroscience is straightforward. Your threat response fires faster than your reasoning, so any gap you insert between stimulus and response is time your prefrontal cortex uses to catch up and take the wheel. 2 seconds converts a reaction into a decision. Second, lower your volume when provoked. Don't raise it. It's physiologically incompatible with escalation, and it unsettles people far more than shouting because it's unexpected, and the unexpected can't be steered. Third, the advanced move. Get curious. Interesting. Why would you say that in front of everyone? Delivered flat, no edge. Now the diagnostic is running in the other direction, and they're the one being read. Here's what changes when you master this. People test less. Not because they like you more, because you've become unpredictable, and unpredictable means unsteerable. The remote control's dead, and once nobody can move you emotionally, one lever remains. The biggest one, whether they can afford to lose you at all. Think about who you take for granted. Genuinely, picture them. It's not the people you value least, it's the people who are always there. The friend who replies in 90 seconds at any hour, the parent who calls regardless, the colleague who will always cover. Availability and value sit on opposite ends of a seesaw, and this is the cruelest mechanism in all of human pricing because it punishes generosity specifically. The economics are ancient. Abundant things are cheap, scarce things are dear, and attention obeys the same law as gold. But there's a modern accelerant. You are now visibly available in a way no generation before you ever was. Read receipts, online now dots, instant replies at 1 a.m. Every one of those is a price tag, and for most people the tag reads, unlimited stock, zero cost. The fix is not games. It's not wait 3 hours to text back as a trick. People smell tactics, and tactics collapse the moment they're detected. The fix is structural. Build a life that genuinely competes for your attention. Training you won't skip, work that absorbs you. 2 or 3 people who get your best hours. When your attention is genuinely contested, scarcity isn't a performance, and it's just true. And everyone can feel the difference between a person playing hard to get and a person who is actually inconveniently busy being someone. The deepest version of this is walk-away power. Every relationship, professional or personal, is priced against your alternatives. The negotiation term is BATNA, your best alternative to the current deal. If people sense you have nowhere else to go, no other friends, no other options, no other income, no other sources of worth, your tolerance will be tested to its floor because there's no risk attached to testing it. The moment they understand you can leave, the job, the group, the dynamic, and be fine, everything reprices, usually without a single conversation. The strongest position in any room is visibly not needing the room. But all 5 of these skills share a dependency. None of them work as a costume. Which brings us to the part nobody wants to hear. Here's the collision with reality. You can learn every mechanism in this video and it will all fall apart within a month if it's a performance. Because people don't believe claims, they believe patterns. Psychologically, trust is just successful prediction. I trust you means I can predict you. And people are running that prediction engine on you constantly, building a model of who you are from what you repeatedly do. That model is your reputation, and it walks into every room a few seconds ahead of you. The model updates slowly, which is both bad news and good. Bad. 1 week of new behavior convinces no one. Expect people to test harder when you first change, because everyone probes a new policy to see if it's real. Push through that window, it's short. Good. Once the model flips, it defends you automatically. There's a point, and everyone who's built real self-respect knows this point, where people stop testing you entirely. Not because you won confrontations, because the prediction, this person folds, quietly became this person doesn't. And testing stopped being worth anyone's effort. The tests just end. Rooms behave differently before you've said a word. So start embarrassingly small. Keep one promise to yourself daily. The gym session, the shutdown time, the thing you said no to staying no. Not for discipline points, because self-respect is also a prediction, yours. Every kept promise is evidence your own word is real, and people can smell whether you believe your own word from across a room. Then pick the smallest live boundary in your life, the nickname, the lateness, the read messages, and enforce it once, calmly, this week. Nothing dramatic. One data point, then another. Because here's the whole video in one line. People treat you according to a price you've been setting your entire life without knowing you were setting it. You've been teaching everyone your worth in every interaction you've ever had. The teaching never stops. The only question, starting today, is what the lesson says.